Hi guys, Jess here. I've just been rummaging around in my vegetable basket and I've just noticed that from Halloween I've got left over some sweet potatoes. And so I thought, what am I going to do with those? And I thought it might be a nice idea to try and make something, a sauce of some description to go with the turkey for Thanksgiving. And we always have cranberry sauce, don't we, with the turkey. We often have onion sauce here as well in the UK, but I just thought that it might be an idea to try and use up these sweet potatoes and see if I couldn't make something that's got a bit of the sort of seasonal spices, all of those very American spices, you know, the cinnamons and the gingers and that kind of stuff. Allspice and cloves, and get a feel for the Thanksgiving and soon to be coming Christmas kind of spirit into this sauce to be served on the side, of the plate like you do with the cranberry sauce, just to dip your turkey in as a bit of a change. And I've absolutely no idea how it's going to come out. It was just a thought off the top of my head. So let's see how we go. What I thought I'd do is I'd start with a bit of a base of sweating down a couple of shallots and a clove of garlic. So I've just got in my pan here a small knob of butter, and I've just put the heat on there, and I'm just going to I just stick my shallots, 2 shallots I've chopped up, and I'll just stick those in the pan. There we go, and put that on the heat like so. And then with my trusty garlic crusher, 1 clove of garlic, and we'll crush that in there. Okay, and that will hopefully then sweat down in the butter. Once it starts to make a fizzing noise as though it's cooking, we just turn the heat down and allow those shallots and that garlic to sweat together. In the meantime, I think I'll finally chop the sweet potato, and what I intend to do is, once those shallots and garlic have sweated down, then I'm just going to put the sweet potato in on a low heat. And I know sweet potato, it will very quickly turn into a lovely mush. There goes the heat on you can hear the shallots sizzling away nicely, so I'll just turn the gas right down and let them really sweat down so they're nice and clear and they're soft. Okay, and then these sweet potatoes will very quickly render down to a lovely mush, a bit like cooking apple does, and that's what I want. And they should be a lovely colour too. And then I'm going to, as they're starting to render down, I'm going to put in a few spices, like I said, and we'll see what kind of flavours we can get. So I'm going to carry on doing this and leave the shallots and the garlic to simmer away there, and I'll come back to you guys when that's all nice and softened up, and we'll put the sweet potato in and we'll think about the spices and the level of spice we're going to put in there. So I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, see you then. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm back. I've sweated down my shallots. You can hopefully see in there. They're sweated down. They're in quite a lot of butter. I want to have a lot. It's going to be a very rich sauce, this. I want lots of butter in there, and I also want a lot of butter because what I want to try and do, I'm just going to transfer into a larger saucepan that will take the quantity of sweet potato that I'm putting in there. What I want to try and achieve with this large amount of butter is to allow the sweet potatoes to just sweat and soften themselves without any water added. So if I've got enough butter, which will make a nice base to the sauce anyway, but if I've got enough butter in there, they should be able to do that without burning to the bottom. Okay, so what I want to actually try and do I may add a little bit more butter to that to absolutely guarantee that it'll work. What I want to do is add the sweet potatoes to that without any water, as I said, and just let them sweat, so only their own liquid that's inside the potatoes comes out. That's not only for flavour, so we don't dilute it at all, but it also make it nice and thick and creamy as a sauce. If we put any water in there, it's going to get too runny and thin. So in go the sweet potatoes. I should put a lid straight on that, and I'll put it on the thing and put it on a very low heat. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add some spices to it. Once it starts to mush down, I'm going to add, there's a pound of sweet potatoes in there. I'm going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of ginger, and I shall add also about half a teaspoon, maybe slightly less than half a teaspoon, perhaps a pinch of ground allspice, just to lift it that little bit. Plenty of grated nutmeg, some cloves, couple, maybe 1 or 2 cloves, 2 at the most on a pound of sweet potatoes, and of course a little bit of fire. I've got a little bit of chilli. I've just taken the end there, about an inch off of the end of a bird's eye chilli, and I'm going to add that as well to give it a bit of heat. Of course it wants a pinch of salt, like everything does, and finally I'm going to add a bit of lemon zest, just to freshen it all back up again, right towards the end. But I'll come back once the sweet potato is sweated down. I'll show you how that sweats down with the shallots and the garlic that's already in there, and so you can see what it should look like, and then we'll go ahead and add the spices. So I'll see you again in a short while. Hi guys, okay, I'm back again. The sweet potato, as I expected, has started, you'll probably see if I hold it up to the camera, it started to soften. So there was enough butter in there, I didn't need to add any water, it didn't burn to the bottom. So we've now got our sweet potato, and because it is now starting to soften and everything is going to plan, as I said, this is straight off of the cuff. I'm going to add the spices now, so as they have plenty of time to infuse as the sweet potato continues to go down to a mush. So, as I said, we're going to have some cinnamon to start with. Got my trusty spoon measures here. This is a half teaspoon measure, and we'll have, I think we'll have half a teaspoon measure of cinnamon. Okay, this is in a pound of sweet potato, by the way, and we'll have the same, I think, of ginger, ground ginger, a nice generous, if I can get any out that is, a nice generous heaped teaspoon of ground ginger. There we are. Now, as I said, we only want a small amount of allspice, I would say, and I'm just going to take the tip off of the end of this. It probably amounts to possibly a quarter of a teaspoon, if there is such a thing, but that kind of quantity in your half teaspoon measure, because it's quite powerful and very, I was going to say spicy, but that's not really a surprise, is it? It's very tart, perhaps is the right word, and if there's too much it's going to punch through too hard. Now I'm also going to put a clove in here. Again, exactly the same thing as the allspice. If you overdo it with cloves, you've had it. Everything just tastes of clove. You don't get anything else through. So I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put 1 in actually, because, you know, we can always try this recipe again, can't we? This is the first off, and I don't want to overdo it with them. Now, the other thing I said I was going to put in here was some nutmeg. So we're going to grate some fresh nutmeg in here, a nice lot of fresh nutmeg, with their handy little grater that they supply. We'll grate it in there, and I might grate in a bit more while I'm off camera because, you know, we don't have too many minutes on these YouTube videos that they give us, so just standing here grating nutmeg in is not very productive for you guys to see what I'm doing. But just to give you an idea, I shall grate some in. I'll probably grate in the same amount again when you're gone. Now, as I said, I was going to put some heat into it, and I've put the chilli in, that's already gone in, the salt has gone in. Now I think I'm going to leave the lemon zest until this is all boiled down. I'm going to taste it, and then if I think it needs lightening up, sharpening up, then all I'll do with my microplane grater is I will grate off some lemon zest into that and leave it to boil just a little bit longer, just to give it that, you know, that tartness back, because it may be a bit heavy with all those autumn spices in it. So what I'm going to do is stick that back on the heat now, let it all boil down, and then I'll come back to you and we'll have a good old tasting session and a roundup of what's gone on. Okay, so I'll see you then. Bye. Okay, hi guys, I'm back again, and we have a result. I've put the spices in as I showed you. I've now boiled the sweet potato down. The whole thing is rendered down. I've got a couple of confessions that I have to make here. As I was watching it render down, I realised that it was catching on the bottom. So I added, whilst to a pound of sweet potatoes, I've slowly added about a cupful of water. As it started to stick, well, not a cup, sorry, half a cup of water. As it started to catch on the bottom, I would just dribble a bit in to loosen it off. Then if it caught again, I dribble a bit more in, and it's come to about half a cup of water. Also, when I was tasting it as it was going along, I realised that it did need to be brought up, zinged up a bit. And so what I've done is I've added, I've zested a whole lemon. So I've just run round the side with the microplane grater, the whole of the lemon zest off of there, and squeezed half of this lemon's juice into it. And I think we have an excellent result in here. It's sharp, it's got all those lovely autumnal and Thanksgiving Christmassy type of mulled sort of spices in it. It's got a lovely texture. I've left it so there's a few lumps of let me find a spoon. A few lumps of the sweet potato in it, so it's kind of like the texture of apple sauce with a few bits of lumps, but it's sweet potato sauce instead. And I can tell you, by tasting it, it's still very hot, but it smells absolutely wonderful. I mean, just the smell of that at your Thanksgiving table will be absolutely marvellous. But it tastes really good. It's got some warmth, it's got some zing that'll cut through the turkey, and you know, the fat of the roast potatoes and so on. It's got a bit of zing. It's got all those lovely spices, the cinnamon, the ground allspice is coming through really well too, and even the clove, and I only put one in, so remember that. Don't go too heavy on your cloves. All in all, I think it's a pretty well balanced recipe, and I think that makes a nice addition. You know, don't have it instead of cranberry sauce, because of course cranberry sauces, God, you can't have anything more traditional than that. But I think that alongside with your cranberry sauce, and it's a nice colour too, it's got the little red flecks of the chilli in it, and I think it will make a really nice complement to your Thanksgiving table. So there you go, that's the sweet potato sauce. Of course I shall put the whole recipe up on my blog. You can see the URL there, mypicklesandjams.com. And until the next time, take care guys and have a lovely Thanksgiving. Bye.